Hey, everybody. I am Eric J. Olson, co-founder of Array Digital, and we are back for another episode of the Managing Partners podcast. On this podcast series, we interview America's top managing partners to find out what they're doing to grow their firms and to keep their case pipeline full. And today I have on with me, Lindsay Freedman. Hey, Lindsay.
Hey, Eric. Thank you very much for having me.
Well, thank you for making the time. I appreciate it. Let me tell the audience a little bit about you. Lindsay Freedman has successfully represented clients in federal and state court in a wide range of employment and business litigation. He litigates all types of employment law matters for both employees and employers, including discrimination, sex harassment, disability, whistleblower, and wage and hour claims. Mr. Freedman has been named Super Lawyers Rising Star in both Washington, D.C. and Maryland. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you, Eric. Glad to be here.
Well, besides what I just told the audience about you, can you give us a little more information about you and your firm?
Absolutely. So a little bit of background about me. I grew up in the Northern Virginia area, right around Washington, D.C. And as people are aware of that area, there's a lot that goes on in terms of policy, in terms of politics, government, and I was always interested in the law, basically because of my proximity to DC, and oftentimes having a JD is a gateway into so many different careers in the Washington, DC area. Fortunately, I was able to get my JD from George Mason University School of Law, now Anton Scalia School of Law, but in Virginia. Eric, I know you guys at Array Digital are located in Virginia, so
That's right.
So it's great to talk to another fellow member of the Commonwealth. So my start was over in Virginia. During law school, I was very lucky to get a lot of litigation experience, working at a number of different firms. My first firm, actually, after my 1L year, was an auto dealer law firm of all things. But that was a nice little introduction into a bunch of different areas of the law. Surprisingly, dealerships deal with a lot more areas of law than people would imagine. So that was a nice foray. After that, I worked in another law firm in the Indianapolis area because my wife's from Maryland and ultimately settled in Maryland. After law school, I still wanted to save the world. I took the largest public interest firm actually in Maryland, Maryland Legal Aid, and I was very fortunate to get a great experience there. This was still towards the end of the financial crisis when I joined Maryland Legal Aid, and I did a lot of foreclosure, debt collection work. And as has been the case a number of times in my career, I was fortunate to have great mentors there and at these other firms I mentioned. After my time there, I, through a friend of a friend, had an opportunity at a boutique employment law firm in Maryland, which I joined and then worked for a number of years. I had fantastic mentors there, which helped really craft and master my skill in employment law, which has become my number one focus now as an attorney. And at that firm, that boutique employment firm, we handled all different types of employment law cases. Pretty much everything except for workman's comp we did over at that firm. And on both sides of the aisle, like you mentioned in your introduction, we represented employers as well as employees in plaintiff's work. After a number of years there, in hundreds and hundreds of employment law cases, I did decide to start my own firm during this pandemic last year. I started Freedman Law LLC, actually in the beginning of October of last year. So it just hit my first 1 year anniversary of the firm. And I'm glad to report that the firm is doing extremely well. And we are extremely busy and, really making a difference in a lot of people's lives. So
good for you. Congratulations. Definitely not an easy thing to do in the middle of chaos that we just experienced, the pandemic. But, there's probably never really a terrible time to start a business, because even during something like a pandemic or a recession, there's a lot of people exiting industry. And if you come in, it's a good time to establish roots. And then as the economy comes back up, hopefully your boat can rise with the tide. So congratulations on 1 year.
Yeah, thank you. And I will say, in terms of timing, it worked out extremely well. So, people know from the headlines, employment law has been a booming because of the pandemic. We have COVID for one thing. Businesses are trying to figure out how to do the right thing. Employees are trying to grapple with, how to stay safe in the workplace, what their rights are as well. In addition to that, too, the other things that led to my decision were obviously the Me Too movement. I do a lot of sexual harassment litigation. And then Black Lives Matter as well. I do a lot of just race discrimination. So all those different areas right now, people are really looking for quality representation. And I've been very lucky to have had the mentors that I've had in the past to really, really master my craft in terms of employment law world. And you see, I've done thousands of consults at this point in terms of employment law. So you really start to see the same patterns over and over again. In doing both sides, I see how employers react. I see what arguments work best for the employees, and really try to master or try to get the best possible outcome based on all my experience.
In employment law, is it common for a firm to represent both sides, the employer and the employee?
Great question. It is less common. I will say since starting my firm, I have focused more on the employee side, on the plaintiff side. I've gravitated towards that area. I still do defense work, as I mentioned, more for small businesses, though, less for the big companies and more for small businesses, and use that area of expertise, use that knowledge to help small businesses grow versus representing some of the larger players, which can create conflicts, and that's part of the reason it's less common to do both sides.
Have you had this situation yet where both the employer and the employee came to you for the same matter?
I have had a few conflicts of interest cases arrive, and of course, we quickly identify those issues to make sure nothing comes of it, and try to really work on my referral network as well to make sure anyone who contacts my firm, finds quality representation.
That's good. What do you do to kind of cultivate that referral network?
So, one, obviously referrals, as I mentioned. However, since obviously your area is digital marketing, it makes more sense to focus on that for today's conversation. And this will probably be music to your ears. And I don't just say this because you're in digital marketing, but right now in today's world in 2021, having a quality website is so critical for new firms and old firms. And I still hear attorneys say, why do I need a website? And it's just shocking to me to hear that. If you don't know, if an attorney doesn't know why they need a great website in 2021, it might be time to just look for something else, because that's the way of the world. People find services through the internet, and unless even if you're doing business to business work, you still need a great website that shows the quality of work you do. And a lot of people find me. I have a great referral network, as I mentioned, but a lot of people find me online, and we have a great website that we worked really hard to build, and we worked with quality individuals to put that together, and it produces a number of leads for me. Almost every day I get leads from the website.
That's fantastic. If you could have a website that is creating those opportunities, that's fantastic. If people are finding on the internet, that's fantastic. We hear a lot on this podcast about referrals, and it seems like a lot of attorneys, unfortunately, that's about all that they work off of. And I say unfortunately because there's pros and cons with every kind of lead source, but a lot of managing partners may not actually try to nurture that referral network of theirs. They don't have a program in place. They just hope for a referral. But I think it's, personally, I think it's better no matter what kind of marketing or advertising or referral marketing you do, is to have an active program where you're going out and you're trying to make something happen versus, waiting for it to come in. It'll come in probably no matter what, but you need some sort of active activity as well. And it sounds like you have that with your website. If it's bringing in a lead a day or more, good for you.
Yeah, thank you. And it's all about finding quality people to help you. I have a I have a great team that's behind me in my firm, and and I'm sure you have the same conversations with your clients every day. Attorneys, the big mistake I see is they're not willing to work with great, vendors and great, business people like, Array Digital, for example. I don't have, just full disclosure, I don't work with Array Digital, at this point, but, I can tell you do quality work, and you have tremendous clients that value you. And, when I had the opportunity to talk to you, I jumped at it because you're a smart individual, that's produced great results for a lot of people. So why wouldn't I talk to you? Attorneys, we don't, we didn't go to business school, right? We went to law school. So, a lot of attorneys, for whatever reason, are just afraid, to reach out and, contract with, smart, smart marketers or other kind of vendors. And, and I welcome the opportunity to talk to you because I'm sure I'm going to learn a lot from you.
Well, I appreciate that. What are some of your growth plans for the next couple of years? Where do you see yourself going?
In the future, in the next couple of years, we're definitely going to add at least one associate, if not more. Beef up support staff, as much as we can. Right now, obviously, just a year in, we're not, we're not a large firm. Right now, we're lean and mean, and we're able to keep costs down for our clients and be very cost effective because of that. At the same time, I really want to grow and be able to help more people because there's only 24 hours in a day, and I can only help so many people just by myself. So there's definitely a market out there. There's definitely a need. I know firsthand. So we definitely want to grow and add more attorneys to the team.
Have you had an opportunity to work on some of your internal systems? Like, do you have like an intake system and a way of nurturing your prospective clients?
We do have an intake system. We have, I use a calendar system, Calendly, to manage my consultations, my new clients. That works extremely well. Someone reaches out to us through our website, we schedule them for a consultation. Then we use Calendly to give reminders, tell them what information we need to expedite the process. And, so we're even more cost effective when I meet with them, and they already know what documents I need. They already know what the key information is to provide us ahead of time.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. Yeah, I use Calendly as well. I like to schedule this podcast. It's so convenient. If anyone's still going back and forth to try to figure out, are you available on Tuesday at 3 p.m. or I would definitely recommend trying out Calendly. There's a free version. I'm on the $15 a month, like all features included version. So it's really, really cheap. It's a good system for at least establishing meetings. What about like nurturing those prospective clients? Like once you have that first meeting with the Calendly, whether it's a call or in person, there's usually, a period of time before they decide to hire you as their lawyer. Do you have like any kind of system where you like try to keep in touch with them, like once a week, you reach out, anything like that?
We don't have anything too specific on that, but I always try, and reach out as much as I possibly can. I pride myself on keeping constant contact with all my clients, all my potential clients. Eric, in my line of work, people are often coming to me, in their darkest hour, about to lose their job or having lost their job, or fearing they're about to lose their job, or some kind of whistleblower situation. And it's one of the most stressful things you can go through, right? Losing a job, fearing that you don't know how to provide for your family. So we take that really seriously. And when we take on a client, it's as full-time a relationship as it gets, almost like family, right? Because they oftentimes we're going to have to jump in and quickly assist. There's not usually a lot of downtime between when they reach out to us first and whether they take us on as a client. Usually it's right away, and we jump in because time is of the essence. So it's just, I think that kind of explains why there's not usually a lot of runtime or a need for some kind of extra process in there.
Gotcha. By the time they reach out to you, they're ready to take some sort of action. Mm-hmm. Do you find that they have done a decent amount of research on you, or not much at all? Well, generally speaking.
Typically they have. And, one thing I wanted to mention, I think that might be helpful for other attorneys out there looking to build a practice is whatever you do not shy away from reviews, because again, another mistake I hear attorneys say, oh, I don't really want reviews. I don't want to have that profile where then someone can write a bad review. You have to, embrace the services industry, and you have to look for feedback, and people find you through these reviews. I got a review the other day, and I feel so fortunate. The woman said, it was a Google review. She said, I give them 5 stars, but I wish I could give them 10. And I'm not trying to brag right now, but
That's great.
review, that review will go a long way. Someone sees that review, and it's going to be super meaningful. Yes, bad reviews can happen. There's no doubt about it. Especially if someone doesn't want to pay a fee or something like that. But at the end of the day, you have to improve your again, exactly what Array Digital does. You have to improve your SEO standing, and reviews help that.
Great point. I totally agree with you. Reviews are incredibly important, and if they're going to be left whether you like it or not, right? So especially when someone's upset, they're going to go out of their way to let everybody know why they're upset and why it's your fault. So it's, to me, it seems that the best strategy is definitely to try to, you can't stop that from happening, and you also can't take it off the internet. Like, Google's not going to listen to you, or Facebook, they won't listen to. But what you can do is you can bury it under a pile of positive reviews that you've requested, right? So if you don't ask, you won't receive. You can at least ask your previous clients, current clients to leave a review, and that'll, one bad review and 100 positive ones, you're in good shape. That's a great profile. But if you have one bad review and none or one positive, people are going to pick up on that, right? So good point. I think that's really good.
Mm-hmm. And it also, depending on what area you're practicing in, it could be even more meaningful, because there's certain situations that are embarrassing, right? And people don't, if you want a will, for example, you'll ask, Bobby down the street, you ask your neighbor, hey, who's your wills guy? But, if it's a criminal issue, or, if you're embarrassed about potentially losing your job, maybe you don't want to ask your friend or family. Maybe you will just go on Google. So all the more reason you need those great reviews, and you need to show up.
That is where people go to find things these days. Yeah, absolutely. What is something that you've tried either in the past year or in your previous positions that you don't think works very well anymore?
So I haven't done a lot of this personally for the new firm, but print advertising for me, I find it hard to justify at this point. There's certain industries I'm sure it makes sense for, personal injury, billboards, kind of thing, but newspapers, magazines, I think that's harder to justify. One thing that works well, and again, like I said, I have a really smart team that's helped me, but online advertising can be very effective, and we've done some very targeted online ads that have worked very well. Again, I feel very fortunate that people can find me, because I know the great work I do, but some random person just looking online, they don't. So you have to.
Are you running Google ads?
Not Google ads. It's right now more targeted directory legal ads on TopSpot.
Got it. Cool. So when someone searches for your service, the directories may pop up in the top of the rankings in the Google search results. They click through your ads there, and okay, that's how they find it. I got it. Yep. No, that's definitely a way to do it. So, well, awesome. I really appreciate your time. If someone would like to reach out and ask you other questions, or maybe they have someone they want to refer to you, what's a good way for them to get in touch with you?
The website is definitely the best place to contact us, and it is freedlawfirm.com, FREED lawfirm.com.
All right. Well, thanks so much. I appreciate your time. All right, everybody. If you would like to check out our backlog of other interviews with America's top managing partners, that entire backlog is organized by practice area and state at arraylaw.com/podcast. And if you're looking for digital marketing help for your law firm, my firm, Array Digital, can be found at arraylaw.com. We have an overview of our services, websites, online advertising, search engine optimization, and social media. All right, Lindsay, I appreciate it. Thanks for your time.